Welcome, friends. It's nighttime here, but before I head off to bed, I need to share this with you. Yesterday, we reviewed a newly released Deposition from Kaylee Holt, Josh Duggar's childhood girlfriend. Reading the Deposition for my videos yesterday made me sad, primarily because Kaylee clearly felt people in her church blamed her for Josh's secrets being made public. You see, Kaylee's parents separated her from Josh when they found out about the SM, but Kaylee wrote a journal letter, put it in a book, and the book was given away. Eventually, the journal was found by a church member, just like we always heard whispers of on Free Ginger and Duggar Snark. It's crazy how many rumors I always thought were salacious have come to fruition. It turns out the Duggars and the people surrounding them were living in craziness and secrecy, and they seemingly lacked a sense of needing to protect any child other than Josh in that family. It is sad and terrible. Kaylee spoke about only remaining in contact with Jill and Jessa Duggar, knowing for sure that Jill is receiving therapy and feeling a lot of heartbreak in her childhood. It's important to note, even after the first several instances of inappropriate behavior by Josh and Kaylee's families still wanted to give Josh another chance, or even many more chances. Kaylee confirmed that Josh lived with her family in Little Rock while her father was working for the Senate. They had all hoped a relationship could be rekindled for Kaylee and Josh. I'm glad that Josh messed up again. Kaylee makes it clear he accessed P in Little Rock and her family found out about it again. Also, Josh made Kaylee feel like he was taking advantage of her feelings, quote unquote. And for these reasons, he left the Holt's home and was no further involved in trying to court Kaylee. We also learned that Jim Bob and Michelle took on an oddly active role with Kaylee. She said she would talk to Jim Bob and Michelle frequently because she wasn't really allowed to talk to other people or kids her own age. So she talked to the adults in the church, specifically Michelle and Jim Bob. She talked to them about Josh, her sadness over what he had done, and they provided her with love and support. Kaylee makes it clear. For her, Josh's lies got old. He wouldn't stop lying about accessing P. However we feel about P, as Josh entered puberty, he learned to lie about it. He kept lying over and over again until it just became a part of his soul. And now, here we are. It's time to look at the letter. Written by Michelle Duggar, submitted to the court in an attempt to request the lightest sentence possible for her son. Before I show you the letter, I want to say this. Many people have written to me making it clear they hate Michelle. I respect everyone's opinion, and I have sad and hard feelings towards her as well. Yet, still in my heart, I believe it's likely Michelle started out wanting to do the very best and most right things for her kids and her family. She must have believed with all of her heart in this doctrine at some point, because the road she took, raising 19 kids in a small 3-bedroom home for a lot of those early years, was not an easy road. They had money. They were real estate investors. Why didn't she use that money on herself, on her kids, stop getting pregnant, lead a more normal life? Maybe it's because Michelle was, or even still is, a true believer. A believer in the idea that God will only let her into heaven if she follows all of these crazy rules, has as many kids as possible, and leads this crazy lifestyle. Isn't she tired by now? In her 50s and still raising children, as well as helping children raise their own children, many say Jana does all the work. Yes, poor Jana and all the sisters. But still, Michelle's life is not the kind of life I would ever choose. So maybe she's a true believer. Maybe she's stuck and miserable. Why can't she see her daughter Jill anymore? This was brought up in some of the other depositions. Because Jim Bob says she can't. There is a dynamic between Jim Bob and Michelle and the IBLP doctrine I've yet to fully understand and uncover, but I'm working on it. As I read this letter now, I keep in mind Michelle is a mother to Josh. What I can say is that I am a mother, and I would give my last breath to save one of my children. You can say, but she's ruining her other children's lives by continuing to support Josh, and maybe that's true. And yet, I know I would cut off my arm for one of my kids and tell myself I can still take care of my other kid as long as I just have that second arm. I mean, even if Michelle is the most wrong a mother can ever be, it doesn't mean she isn't dying on the inside. Her heart breaking for her firstborn son, who will sit in jail for a very long time. Here we go, friends, and I will have a lot to say about this letter after I read it. Your Honor, hello. I am writing this letter in regards to the sentencing of my son, Joshua Duggar. My heart is to share some things about Joshua's character that may not be fully known to the court. It is my sincere hope these things are taken into consideration as a fair and just sentence is determined. Leading up to this sentencing day, I want to make clear that Joshua has friends and family who will love and support him in his abilities to succeed as a husband, father, business owner, and man, both now and in the future. Joshua has a tender heart, and he is compassionate towards others. If someone is having a difficult time, he is one of the first to encourage or try to help them in a tangible way. He and his wife and children have helped many others by doing cleaning and repair projects and lending a helping hand. Joshua has always been a positive and upbeat person. He is wise financially, saving money for the future and purposing not to go into debt. He is a good provider for his family, working diligently and thinking of creative ways to support and take care of his wife and children. He is also generous and shares his resources with others in need. One example of his heart to help others is that Joshua has been giving financial assistance to a widow friend of ours for several years. On a personal level, Joshua is an organized and diligent individual. He has set a good example of applying himself eagerly to his work and in the many other responsibilities that he carries as a husband and father. Joshua is a loving and patient man, striving to be a blessing and provide for his family. He has also spent quality time with his wife and children, learning life skills together and going on family outings. Side by side, Joshua and his family have built forts, learned how to work on bicycles and other vehicles, gone camping, hiked, fished, and played countless games and sports together. As I look to his return, I stand ready to offer my continued love and encouragement to Joshua and his family and for their success in the future together. We ask that he would be reunited with his wife and family in a timely manner. Thank you, Your Honor, for taking these thoughts into consideration. We implore your wisdom for a just decision in this matter. Thank you for your time. Respectfully, Michelle A. Duggar. Okay. My first thoughts about this letter are that it makes me sick and it makes me sad. Did you notice the signature? I have to take a deep breath here. I'm sorry, Michelle, but your son SM'd your small daughters and grew up to be a monster. There is something wrong with your understanding of this situation. If you think it's appropriate to sign this sad letter with a heart bubble to dot your I. That is so sad to me. It makes me think Michelle is living in a crazy, unrealistic dream world that Jim Bob and the fences around her property have kept her from having to leave. Secondly, I really think this letter was either written by someone else and Michelle signed it, or Michelle agreed to write it, but her heart was absolutely not into it. This is not the kind of letter I would expect from a loving and grieving mother. The letter comes off so cold and almost removed from the situation, like maybe Josh's lawyers made it clear to Michelle and Jim Bob that Michelle absolutely needed to write this letter, or else Josh would lose everything. And Jim Bob pushed her to do it. To talk about your son who's lost everything and caused his sisters, family, wife, and children utter heartbreak, like, well, he's a diligent worker. That's just so sad. Sick and removed from the realities upcoming for Josh and the Duggar family. There are a lot of snarky memes and videos that basically insinuate Michelle Duggar doesn't even really know or care about her kids on any kind of deeper or individual level, and this letter seems to support that sad possibility. The letter is tone deaf, much like when Justin Duggar walked out of the courtroom for Josh's CP trial and flashed a huge smile and a thumbs up. This is sad. Michelle, your daughters were SM'd. Your son is going to jail. The effects of Josh's actions are rippling throughout your family and your community. It will forever stain the lives of your grandkids. What more is there to say but to sit in stunned horror and wait for Josh's sentencing? This has been a hard week already. So do me a favor and leave me some comments below about what you're thinking and feeling this week, as so much keeps coming out from the Duggars. I need to know where all of your heads are and read about how all of this is affecting your perceptions as we lead up to sentencing. Hang in there, guys. We've got one more week to go.